So it's been 2 weeks since my last update on this 8,000 piece Dreamtown by Educa. It's been 4 weeks in total that I've been assembling this puzzle, and I thought it's high time that I just give you an update of where I am on this one. So just to give you guys an idea, this is more or less where I left off 2 weeks ago. So that was my starting point for this video. And I must say, I actually made more progress than I thought. I thought I didn't do much in this last 2 weeks, but looking back at this, I'm happy. So, as I had a lot of little islands that had to go below the point where I was in the puzzle, my goal was to get as many of the top missing pieces in so that I can move it up a little bit to move that little islands that I assembled down. And I've got more points to work off from. So what I did was just to try and get in as many of the sky and the top of the castle and building pieces so that I can move up. So as the majority of the sky pieces was already assembled, the cardboard became emptier and I was able to combine two cardboards that was halfway full to full cardboards again. So I made the cardboards that I had to work off from less, which also helps. Once the remaining pieces are on the cardboard, it is much easier to see the differences on one cardboard as opposed to when they are on two or three cardboards. So the last pieces of the sky went in quite easy, I think, compared to how much I struggled in the first 2 weeks to get those gray areas in. So once the cardboards became less and the pieces became less, it was easier to distinguish which goes where. That helped a lot. And once the sky was mostly completed, except for once again just single pieces that were missing, I was able to eventually move up the puzzle by about, I think, no more than 10 centimeters. If it is more, it's not by much. And I was able to insert some of the little islands below the pieces I already assembled. And the first one that I think connected was the water with the little sailboat under the lighthouse. So that helped a lot to be able to see what I need to connect those. And started working more on the castle. That was my next major focus point so that once the castle is fuller and more complete, I will once again be able to move up a little bit. I scratched through that box for more pieces, especially greens and castle pieces, as not all the pieces were sorted. The remaining ones were just a bit of everything and difficult to determine what it belongs to. So I scratched through the box for pieces that I now recognized, which I didn't initially recognize. Took out more cardboards, filled them up with more castle pieces. Again, as with the previous one, I touched a little on the castle, I touched a little bit on the water, I touched a little bit on the sky. There's other buildings that's different from the castle. If I recognize pieces of those, I worked on those buildings a little bit. So it's not one thing that I started with and finished. It helped me in this case, this specific puzzle, a lot to be able to jump from one object or subject to another. So here's my first check-in point. I am very happy. The little islands grew. Most of the sky pieces are now in. There is single pieces that is missing connecting to birds and balloons. The two water pieces here connected with the bridge in between. Some more islands got assembled. The castle grew somewhat. On the other side as well, the sky is complete. It's beautiful. I managed to insert that little piece of water and connect that to the top part. There is more water that have to connect at some point, not yet sure where. There's some progress in that corner with the roofs and new roof that will have to be assembled or fitted in somewhere at some point. So all in all, very happy. So every time I move the puzzle up, I am able to add a little bit of the border pieces, which means I've got more contact clues. I've got more to work off from. And from here on out, I just filled in what I recognized. And the more sections I assemble, the more contact clues there is. And I just filled in whatever is recognizable. Again, I'm all over the place. It's a little bit of buildings, a little bit of water, a little bit of sky, a little bit of castle. So just look for pieces and recognize them. So for the next section, I'm mainly focused on the castle. I realized that at some point I will have to move up once again, and I don't want the centerpiece to be too far up for me to reach because it will in the end up being on the other side of the table, and I will either have to walk around or reach over too far. So before I can move up again, I realized I had to fill up that castle some more, but in between all that, I did manage to add to the little islands. You will also see that they in the left hand corner, they I started with the greens. So the greens eventually made it to the cardboard, and I had extra to work off from because between all the castle pieces there is also a lot of greens. I had no other choice than to get the greens out as well. Initially, I thought I would get to the greens only later on, but they are so entwined with the castle pieces that I definitely did not have an option but to bring out the greens. Again, I just filled up gaps, assembled what I recognized, and the progress is slow, but I am enjoying it, the process, so very much. So here's my second check-in point, and again, I'm very happy with the progress. There is still a lot of pieces that is islands that needs to go below some of the others, and I need to move up the puzzle before I can move them down. Here's another one. It needs to go way below, down below. But I'm happy with that castle progress. There's a whole row of pieces that started to connect. The green is filling up, and all in all, the islands grow, and that is progress for me. In the end, they will connect somewhere, and that will make huge progress. So I've reached a point where I work with pieces that connects to roofs and buildings that a couple of days ago I didn't even consider, and I was able to grow what was already there and just add on, and the buildings grow so much, and the detail starts to come out. I'm very happy with the progress, and the more pieces I assemble, the more contact clues there are. I frequently talk about contact clues. In this case, again, as with most puzzles, the more you assemble, the more detail there is visible, the more contact clues, and you are just able to connect so much more pieces. And the little happy dance you do when you are able to connect an island to the actual puzzle, or you connect two islands to each other, or you can connect like this castle from the left corner at the top to the right middle. Just to be able to see that connection made me so happy. Still, in between that, I was able to work a little bit on the water still and on the other buildings as well. But my main focus was the castle because I realized I will have to move up the puzzle at some point, and I don't want there to be too many huge gaps before I move up. And another thing is the cardboards. Every time a cardboard emptied up, it's a little victory because then I can add more pieces from the box, from one of the other bowls to be able to consider them. And I just realized that the cardboard is a huge game changer. Usually, that's not something that I work with, especially for smaller piece count puzzles. I only recently started using cardboards for big puzzles, and it changed my life. I don't know if you guys remember the 4,000 piece puzzle I did a couple of months ago, I think somewhere in last year, where I basically spread out all the pieces by shape on the balance of the table. And I had to get up every time that I was going to look for pieces. So definitely cardboards. If you are not used to them, consider them for huge puzzles. So here's my last check-in point for this video. I'm very happy with the progress. That castle filled out really good. Not too many gaps remaining. I managed to grow that little island. I attached a building to that water. That white castle there is the smaller one, is basically complete. I miss about four pieces there. More little islands added. At some point, those will have to connect. So that is hopefully for the next 2 weeks. I assume I will be spending a day or so more on trying to fill out as many of the castle pieces as I can. And then I can move up and move that water piece down below that little sail ship. There's another little island or three that is more or less in place. I just need to connect them. So yeah, very, very happy with my progress. And if I compare the photo of 2 weeks ago to the one for today, I definitely made more progress than I thought. So initially, I thought I will be spending 6 weeks to complete this puzzle. But after 4 weeks, and I assume I'm more or less halfway, I assume it will now take closer to 8 or 9 weeks, especially taking into consideration the most difficult part lays ahead, which is the browns. One of my viewers warned me that that was to her also the most difficult part of this puzzle. So that will definitely slow me down. So I think I'm looking closer to 8 or 9 weeks to complete the puzzle. For now, my goal is to spend another day or so on the castle to just fill in the um, gaps here, and then I can move it up. Then the next pieces that will have to come out on the cardboards is the roof pieces. I need to get that browns out to complete this line below the sky and the water and the castle so that I've got a new starting point for the brown buildings. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks' time, I've got at least the roofs in. So cross your fingers and hope I get to that in 2 weeks' time. And I can just say that I'm enjoying the process. I love it, and I have no regrets mixing all the pieces and doing it as one puzzle. I really enjoy it, and I need to do other videos and other puzzles in between for you guys, but I have so much fun on this one that I can't get myself ripped away from this puzzle. So it depends. Maybe next week you or not, yeah, you will have to either get another puzzle review or something, or there might not be a video at all, and I will focus on this one. So let's see. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the progress that I made. And I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.